Well, honestly, I wasn't really looking to do this video specifically that because I really don't know much about Chappell Roan. I just know that she's popped up on the scene pretty recently. Know she blew up, and I kind of know the community that she's big in. I really didn't even know what songs she did. I had looked up Pink Pony Club for this video. Listen, I listened to the lyrics or I watched, and yeah, it seems like it's about an LGBTQ club, and it seems cool. But yeah, I had realized I had heard that song before. I was like, oh, okay. So it was officially one of those like, oh shit, I'm old moments. It's just okay. But the discourse going on right now politically with her, she has pretty much taken over my feed where enough people have done opinion pieces on this whole thing that I kind of wanted to give my take on it, especially as somebody that is not a fan or really know all too much about her outside of what I have been presented through the media. I'm not going to pretend that I didn't do some research for this because I looked into her a little bit, and there was also a Harper's Bazaar article that came out today. Actually, I featured it in the beginning of this video, and it kind of asked the question why everybody all of a sudden is going after her. But from my perspective, and anybody in the comments can tell me if I'm wrong, because I'm more than willing to see where you're coming from on this one. So I got the feeling that she, number one, is super big into the LGBT community. I have taken that away from the Pink Pony Club. Also, just in general, looking into what she's into and the, her fan base, which seems to be, very LGBT friendly. One of my trans friends is big into her, so it was kind of one of those things where I was like, oh, okay. So why is she trending? Like, and then I saw that it was because she had given not just like an anti-endorsement type of thing, but she kind of went into detail about why like both parties suck, and um think for yourself, critically engage. Which again, that in a vacuum, I guess that's like great advice. That's not objectionable, but I also think that specifically when I found out how big she is in the LGBTQ sphere, that I had read something about how she didn't want to go to a White House LGBT event specifically because she wanted to read a poem for Palestine. And I guess her publicist had said that her safety was at risk, and it wasn't from, the crazy fans, it was from the government itself. Like, they insinuated that you don't fuck with the president, and then they'll revoke your security or put you in danger. Like, I guess if you're like in the 60s, but I don't know, that came off really weird to me, and it kind of came across like, number one, bad advice from her publicist, because that kind of came from like the wackiest, like, yeah, kind of conspiracy brain place. But also when I did read her like the full statement on her reasoning for not supporting Kamala Harris, it, number one, it's kind of weird that she saved the bit for at the end to say, I'm voting for Kamala, I'm just not, endorsing her to my fans, which that's odd. Especially because they miss, like, your fans, I think, miss the crux of the argument on this one. So what they took from it was, why even engage, which I hate to say is kind of, that sucks, especially with how big of a platform you have. And I've always kind of hated that stuff because I don't get stan culture in general, but just because I don't get it doesn't mean that it doesn't exist. So people having a lot of influence over other people, it's obvious. Look at Trump. Trump is a freaking demigod to these people. But with her, number one, I'm just going to go based off my like what I've seen. So it was like after Lala where I was like, whoa, she's huge. And then I'm like, okay, so this is why everybody's paying attention to her, and her her uprise, her meteoric uprise, has definitely, it's one for the numbers. Speaking of Kamala, I just got a freaking text from her her team. Yeah, if you're like me, what are they doing? Like, I can't tell you how many times I've blocked these numbers, so they just go to another staffer and they're like, oh, you gotta, whatever. I'm pretending like I have that much influence. But anyway, I think that it was definitely a little mishandled on her end. I also think that it's weird that she's kind of right, kind of wrong. So, but what I did do is I watched some of the coverage from some streamers and some political talking heads that I frequent, and this guy Tim from the Bulwark actually had a really good video on it where I don't agree with everything that he said, but for the most part, I think that his analysis is very, very spot on. So let's take a look at what he had to say about it.
Hey guys, it's Tim Miller from the Bulwark, and I've got a little beef with Chappell Roan's recent political commentary. I don't want to have to do this, I love Pink Pony Club. My daughter, she's into Hot to Go. She's singing Hot to Go all the time. There are other good songs, Rewind Supernova. She has good songs.
Okay, well, at least I didn't try to be like, "Hey kids, what's up, my fellow kids?"
Okay, I'm into it. No judgment on that. But she's decided to weigh in on politics. And
although, I mean, is that what it is, or is it just like, yeah, just one of those?
And music? I think it's important to step back and talk about what she's saying, because these people have influence, right? If you are a huge pop star like she is, she's had this.
Sorry, my dog is going nuts.
Massive rise, this huge trajectory up. She has influence. She has influence, particularly over young folks that may be on the fence about whether or not to vote. And like, it's important to speak to them about why voting matters, why it's important, and not kind of diminish it in a lot of ways, which is what it seems like Chappell was doing. Just before I get into her comments, I just want to say, this feed is not going to turn into like Ben Shapiro obsessing over like him getting offended when some celebrity says something too woke that he doesn't like. If celebrities don't want to talk about politics, that's fine. If they do, that's great. I'm all about it either way. You be your true self. But what I don't like, though, is if you're going to weigh in, doing so in a way that has some misinformation and that might be actively harmful to the things you say you want.
Yeah, that's a good take. Honestly, that's responsible too, because it is kind of, it gets a little like He's making a good point.
So if you, like Chappell Roan, care about LGBTQ issues, something I certainly care about, being in a gay marriage with a child, then there's a clear choice in this election, and the clear choice is Kamala Harris. And that's not what Chappell Roan's telling.
Yeah, but is that like the only thing that got you to start voting for the Democratic Party? Because I watch enough of this guy to know that he's a Republican classic who still definitely holds some of, their ideals, and specifically their, tax loopholes.
Her fan. So let's take a look at what she's been saying. She was receiving some negative feedback about having already, indicated that she wasn't going to weigh in, as Billie Eilish has, as Taylor Swift has, in favor of Kamala Harris. And she said,
it's not really her responsibility to. I can go to the LGBTQ issues and say, yeah, if she really cares, then she could go single issue with it. But I don't know.
I have so many issues with our government in every way. There are so many things.
This statement is stupid.
Things I would want to change.
I'm sorry.
So I don't feel pressure to endorse someone. There's problems on.
Yeah. This would be super enlightened if it was 2015. It's 2024. MAGA exists. This is a dumb take.
Both sides. Okay. Sure. That's true. That technically true. There is problems on both sides. But one side's clearly better than the other, particularly when it comes to the issues you claim to care about. Chappell Roan has been a big advocate for drag culture, despite not being a drag queen herself, and for trans issues, so being cis herself, and that's great. Trans people need allies. I'm an ally.
Someone in the comments just answered this. Is that what her aesthetic is based on? Is kind of like the hyper drag show stuff? Because I'll be completely honest with you. The first time I saw her, I thought she was a drag queen.
But this notion that Kamala Harris and Tim Walz are not clearly preferable to Donald Trump and J.D. Vance on
Tim Walz alone
these issues is insane. Donald Trump is currently running right now, as we speak, on TV. I just saw him this weekend during college football, ads fear-mongering about trans people and insulting non.
Yeah, I saw these two.
Binary and trans people that worked in the Biden administration, attacking them. He's putting millions of dollars behind that, attacking and smearing real life trans and non-binary people. There have been real laws put into place by MAGA
Yeah, look at this.
Republicans harming trans, non-binary.
That last one I can't get over. They're gonna change this. They're giving sex changes to the illegals that come through here. At that point, like, why would MAGA just be like? Why would they care?
And
Like, you already demonized the immigrants. Why the fuck do you care what's happening to them in any regard, except for the fact that you're just more trans people? Oh, there might be hot Mexican trans now. Oh no!
gay folks and gay parents.
That's where I call this every time that I talk about it. That's where they're scared. They're just so they're so afraid of a passing trans person that they this is why they care so
Like
much.
myself, there's the don't say gay laws in schools that you're saying. We're dealing with this. We would be dealing with this in Louisiana if our kid was going to public school. There is, the drag bans that we've seen in states, all around, in red states across the country. Like, these are real issues, and there's not problems on both sides with them. There's problems with one side, the MAGA Republicans, enacting these laws to harm trans people, drag queens, and gay families. It's like that's what's happening in this election. Okay, and you can, again, as a pop star, as a celebrity, you can decide that you don't want to weigh in. Okay, that's fine. Or you can use your platform. I interviewed D.L. Hughley a couple weeks ago about why he decided to use his platform to speak out for Kamala Harris and to speak at the convention, and how he thinks that can harm.
Yeah, but D.L. Hughley is a special type, man. I'll tell you what, like he's flip flopped a bunch of times, and then even when Trump was starting,
Harm him in certain ways as a comedian, and
he kind of toyed with that idea of like, maybe Trump's not that bad.
there might be opportunities that he misses for doing it. So I get the risk there. If you don't want to speak, if you don't want to take that political risk, that's your choice about your career. But once you've decided to engage, once you've decided to speak out, it's not cool to like minimize this and be like, well, I'm just so worried about LGBTQ people that I can't. That I can't endorse somebody that isn't 100% perfect on it and that wants to do exactly what I want to do and doesn't speak about it in the same exact tone that I speak about it. Okay, no, that's not how this works. Like, either Kamala Harris is going to be the president or Donald Trump is. Either Tim Walz is going to be the vice president or JD Vance is. So, like, to say that there are just so many problems, you have so many issues, you can't do it, so whatever, let's focus on local elections instead. Like, that's not helpful, And when I post about this on social media, I had some pushback and say, well,
also kind of impractical because, like, think of hers specifically. Like, I think she's from Tennessee. I think, but if that being the case,
she's a different person.
She literally lives in one of the states that has like the most comprehensive anti-trans, drag show bills in the entire nation. So, I can kind of see where like she's coming from with saying, yeah, get out, vote locally, get these assholes out because it's the people in the school systems and all that kind of stuff. But the wider message of that, I don't think that translates. And I see his point here.
Perspective being from rural America and like with the Democrats have left a lot of these places behind and blah, blah. And I'm just like, no. Okay. The people that are the most vulnerable right now in our society, the LGBTQ members that are the most vulnerable are the people that Chappell claims to be representing, like these red state, rural gay folks. I'm fine living in my little blue bubble in New Orleans. People who live in New York and San Francisco are fine.
Chicago
is gay teens or people.
What are you talking about? We got Boys Town. We got so much shit. We also have one of the coolest gay men's hockey leagues in the entire nation. I have subbed for them.
Dealing with their questions about their gender identity or sexuality.
That came off wrong. I have sub goaltended for them.
Like, who live in rural America that are in threat right now. Like, those are the people that it is most important. Those are the people for whom it is most.
Just so you know, actually, that's not just for show, by the way. That's my actual like goalie mask.
It's important that Donald Trump and JD Vance and Jeff Landry here in Louisiana and Sarah Huckabee Sanders aren't the ones making the laws. Like, those are the people that are being targeted. So I don't accept.
Well, Sarah Huckabee Sanders, isn't she a governor? Then yeah, she is actually. She may not be writing those laws, but she is signing them into law. So
this like idea that that Chappell, because of her background or whatever, like has a different perspective on this.
Where is she from?
Because she's closer to kind of what is happening in red and deep red America, and she sees the ways that the Democrats have not dealt. That is just not true. That's just not true. There are plenty of groups I've interviewed on here my buddies at the Tennessee Holler, for example. Like, there are plenty of groups that advocate in Red America for LGBTQ rights that are abundantly clear on what the best answer is for those people, and that is making sure that the MAGA Republicans are not elected and can't enact these laws, these anti-gay, anti-trans laws. So there's the other thing that she did, Chappell, that I did, again, don't talk about it, fine. But once you talk about it, we're going to, when you have this massive platform, we got to address what you're saying. It was over the summer.
Never mind. She's from Missouri.
She was in-
but Missouri's just as bad. And Missouri, you could argue, as one of the worst court systems, specifically with the death penalty. They just put to death a man who had presumed innocence behind him, which is insane that they didn't do a stay or any of that. Also, there was a situation where back in the early 90s, a levee broke, and they actually arrested a person for that because they needed somebody to scapegoat because of an insurance scam that the farmers on the other side were perpetuating. And they have gone as far as to prove that that was exactly what happened. But you have a bunch of these judges that are still in the system that just refuse to accept that they fucked up. So they're just like, nope, keep that guy in jail despite the fact that he's completely innocent.
Invited to the White House to perform at a Pride event. Okay.
Right.
She said
I did hear about this.
that she couldn't do it because she wanted to show up and read a poem for Palestine and protest the Biden administration's
Then why not? Why not just do that?
involvement in Israel's attacks on Gaza. Her publicist
Oh, right. Sorry. I did forget about the publicist
was
part.
concerned for her client's safety and talked Chappell out of it. And she told Chappell, you with the president and the government. Your security is not the same, and neither is your family's. Like, this is insane.
Okay. That's some deep state shit right there. That's like the deep state. The deep state's coming for you. Come on, Chappell. She said it clearly like it is. Both parties fucked up. Nope.
Okay.
Go after Chappell Roan.
Like, this
Deep state coming after Chappell
is
Roan.
deranged. So maybe Chappell's just getting bad advice, but her...
I mean, that's literally some like poison pilled shit right there where you're trying to like, what are you trying to keep her in like this paranoid bubble? It kind of explains why she had the reaction that she did to the crazy fans, which then you start looking into it. You're just like, oh, these are just people that stan, anybody, like anybody who is into a person too much. Which Princess Diana, go look at her up.
Her publicist, is psychotic.
Yeah, her publicist sucks.
And is just hallucinating what is really happening. The idea that her safety would have been in threat by the government, like that the Joe Biden's government would have targeted her for going to the White House to read a poem for Palestine is crazy. Okay, you can disagree with Joe Biden's policies.
I'll be honest. I mean, to use the LGBT conference or whatever this was to then propagate your stance for Gaza, does that not take away what you're there to try and push for with the LGBT community? Because you could argue like, oh, well, bringing awareness to Gaza doesn't take away from that. But in a political election cycle, it kind of does a little bit. Because if you have people who are single issue, who are going to vote against or not even vote, so they're not going to show up to vote for their best interests, which are making sure there are comprehensive bills in place and codified bills to make sure that their rights are indeed codified, like gay marriage, and then also making sure that there aren't more harsh trans bills. That having a Republican president flies in the face of that.
As it relates to Israel, that's fine. You can criticize him for that. You can say it's immoral if you want to. But like the idea that he's cracking down on people that protest or that,
that's insane.
That the safety would be at risk for people that speak out is nuts. I mean, Kamala Harris's own niece has spoken out and posted about her concerns for the humanitarian crisis in Gaza.
Yeah.
And has done so in a way that's like, at minimum, implicitly critical of the Biden-Harris administration. So there are people in the White House that have spoken. Like this is nuts, and it just buys into like this kind of brain-rotted, deeply far-left online media ecosystem where like the establishment,
Well, that's both far right and far left. Like both of them kind of like they kind of cross like that. Like that was that little the circles kind of cross, and like in the middle there, you just have government corruption.
It's a mirror, really, of the Republican deep state conspiracy. Like Donald Trump,
A little
Tucker
bit.
Carlson told Donald Trump that the deep state might off him if he picked Marco Rubio because the deep state so wants the war machine to keep going.
Yeah,
Like that is nuts. That is nuts. That is not happening. That is that is the provenance of like InfoWars, National Enquirer type stuff. Like it is not happening. Like the deep state is not trying to target
Infowars.com.
any MAGA Republican.
It no longer belongs to me.
Okay, like they're arresting some MAGA Republicans that attacked the Capitol, but nobody is being targeted for their foreign policy views. And this is the same view in the inverse.
I wouldn't say targeted like, targeted like violence targeted, but bad publicity maybe. But her publicist, like, what? Her publicist is almost responsible for all this bad publicity, which means fire that fucking publicist.
It's like that there's some.
It sounds like it's one of your friends, which that's a problem.
Smoky room. There's a cabal of people, and
I've been there. I was in that smoky room. I was hiding in the corner. I snuck in through the chimney. I saw them with their little masks. They had their robes on. They were about to drain the adrenochrome. They had a upside down pentagram.
inside the White House
Gay frogs.
that would target a
So many gay frogs. Just gay frog sex all over the place.
pop star's family for reading a poem about
Frog debauchery.
human rights. Like that is not true. It's not true. Again, if you don't want to do it, just don't go. That's fine.
Yeah.
If you want to go and read a poem for Palestine, some people will criticize you. Probably there'll be people that disagree with your position. That's true. So you will take criticism. That's different than being unsafe
Yeah, it's almost weird that it's like you're so afraid of Zionists.
or being targeted by the government.
What?
And
The Zionist cabal.
Or if you want to go and just
you know
go to the
what,
private
fuck.
and speak out on behalf of the one choice in this election, Kamala Harris, who wants
which
to actually
speaks to
support
bigger
and uplift
issues that
gay
you
people like that would have maybe
care
been the best
about.
option. But like, you can do any of those things. Like any of those things are fine. To not go, to go and speak out and take criticism, to go and endorse Kamala. Like all of those are options. But saying I'm not going because I think that the Biden government might target me. Okay, that's just you're in conspiracy land.
Yeah, that's conspiracy brain shit right there. 9/11 truther, fucking.
You're not being educated.
Yeah.
And it's
Well, which is funny because her statement was like, go I don't know why she was turning into Alex Jones. She was telling you to go get educated, to educate yourself, and to read more up on, like, to read up more on this stuff. But then she ended it by saying, I support Kamala Harris, but I do not endorse her, which it's like, okay, now you're just mincing the words. And like what your fans took from this was that you do not support her, don't support her. So it was kind of counterintuitive to everything that you were trying to do right there. And on top of it, like if you truly care about Gaza, like I can wax like on this shit forever, but I have said this so many times that Donald Trump has been directly quoted as saying, Gaza has a lot of land, right? Beachfront property. It's very nice beachfront property. And then he recently got quoted as saying that they shouldn't even be allowed to rebuild, that we should sell that land to Israel for developers to come in and buy that land and build hotels. So keep telling me how not voting for Kamala is somehow better.
She's not saying anything at all at that point because there are going to be some people out there. They're young people don't know, right? They're watching movies and they think maybe this is true. Maybe the government might target Chappell. I can't go vote for
I don't know. I give young people a little bit more credit. They're way more up on politics than I ever was.
Kamala Harris. You know, there might be some huge Chappell Roan fans in Wisconsin or Michigan in these key states
Yeah.
who are like, okay, I guess I just won't go.
That I will concede.
So because who knows? Both sides are bad, and you know, if Chappell wouldn't do it, then maybe I shouldn't do it. Like that is possible. Like
that is possible, but that's also like saying, you know, an 18-year-old me. Oh shit, I'll use Jonathan Davis from Korn. If I had heard that Jonathan Davis from Korn wasn't going to vote for, you know, Barack Obama, like, yeah, I'm not sure what that would have done.
It exists. Like you have a real responsibility here. So, you know, in this case, you know, there's a very clear choice. If you want to be critical of Kamala Harris or Joe Biden and their positions,
I can't get over the pinto beans
from Gaza, or
sorry,
you know, I don't actually even know what the criticism would be on LGBT issues, but
oh, that's what I should get. I should get like a a old pepper bag. Oh, do they have those?
They don't. They haven't said exactly the thing you'd like them to say. That's fine. But then be clear-eyed about the fact that the people that are really in threat is not a really famous musician, right? Like the person that is really in danger is not one of the most famous pop stars in America,
No.
right? Who wants to read a poem for Palestine? The people that are really in danger are vulnerable, young, gay, trans, non-binary people that live in.
Yeah, I mean, if they want to go back to the world like it was, like before they came out, or where they were afraid to come out, keep this up, because that's what you get by just disengaging entirely with all this, because there is material change that comes with voting for Democrats, and I'm sick of hearing otherwise, because that's not fucking true. You know, the child tax credits, you know, you could call it moderately progressive policies that, you know, they're incremental in the way that they're rolled out, but they do eventually lead to bigger things. Like 2024 does have, you know, a lot more leftist policies than we ever had when I was in high school. Got itch. But yeah.
Red America that are already facing laws targeting them. They're already facing discrimination, and they're facing discrimination at the hands of MAGA Republicans. That is what is happening. They are the people that are running TV ads targeting trans and non-binary folks right now.
Yeah.
Be clear about who is really.
Yeah. And again, just it is kind of one of those things that you have to be clear with what issues you actually stand for, and not necessarily be single issue, but have, you know, an issue pushing you on that, which again, if Gaza's your issue, fine. But there's nothing material that really changes outside of Donald Trump being much worse for them. With the LGBT community, there's a lot of material change there that is all bad. This is all like, because these are still people that fundamentally think that you do not have the right to exist, and they think that you need to just go back in the closet, and that it's that easy.
Threat. Be clear about what you should do if you want to protect those people, which is vote for Kamala Harris and Tim Walz.
I mean, I'm at least going to do it.
And then if you want to criticize them as well,
surprise!
Also fine. Do that. It's a free country. You should be able to. But let's just be clear-eyed about what the facts are in this situation. So, sorry, Chappell. It's a good song, Pink Pony Club. Really love it. Just played it the other night. But like, let's be real here. There's a responsibility that comes with this kind of success, and we should be honest about who are the ones that are really.
Yeah, I mean, that's why we harp on Joe Rogan as much as we do on this channel.
Really in danger, and it's not Chappell Roan. So appreciate you all for listening to this.
Yeah. Check out the Bulwark. I'll link him in the description. He does really cool. He does great work. He also does like a lot of cross-platform stuff with Brian Tyler Cohen. That's probably where you've seen him before. He also does. He had a great encounter recently, if you want to look it up, with Lindsey Graham, where it was at the debate, and he put Lindsey Graham on blast, and apparently it blew up. So, well, I hate to say it, I do kind of agree with a lot of what he was saying there. There are a few minor parts of it where I'm like, okay, well, it's not as, you know, make or break or cut, but also this is kind of, you know, for Chappell, it does kind of come down to the, well, like, how do you want this to go? And also, how can you just ignore the whole fame part of this? Because she tried to do that. And like, this goes back to her original controversy talking about her fans. And then she also was on like some red carpet, and she like called out the paparazzi and just said, no, you don't get to demand things from me. And then a lot of other celebrities were just like, yo, that wasn't cool what you did there, because, you know, you're there to be presented as, you know, the star. They're there to take pictures of you, the star. So I don't know, like, if you couldn't hack the fame thing, then why did you do the music thing, or not do like a what do they call them, the VTuber or whatever? Like, I don't know. I don't have these answers. I'm just asking questions. So, but if you liked my content today, leave a like, comment, and subscribe. Try to get to 1,000 subscribers, and I do really sincerely appreciate you checking out my content. It's really cool that you guys are here, and yeah, if you guys like what you saw here. I have a pretty good backlog of related content minus Chappell Roan. So, but yeah, leave that like, comment, and subscribe, and I will see you in the next one.